I have been an enthusiastic purchaser and user of Spyderco blades for a long time. I think you guys know that at this point, right? I bought my first Endura, I think, back in 1992, somewhere along there. And I've loved Spyderco blades ever since. Now, if you were to ask me, Nut and Fancy, what do you like most about the Spyderco brand? We're talking about the folding knives here. I guess I could lump everything into some very general, basic categories. First and foremost, I would say design. These are good-looking blades. The ones that I like are good-looking blades, just like the one on the table. That is the Eric Lesser designed Spyderco Domino C172, and that's what this review is about. It's a great-looking blade. Follows family lines, which is to say it's handsome and functional. It's thin. It's relatively lightweight, like most of the Spyderco folding knives. Number 2, quality. Build quality is outstanding. You're going to see that in detail. Oh, and by the way, if you're in a hurry, this probably isn't the video for you. Here in the Nut and Fancy Project Knife Show, I set a knife on the table, and sometimes the review will go for 30 minutes. Because we're going to talk about a lot of stuff, not just the knife. Heck, I could blast through the details in 5 minutes. Easily 10. Been there, done it. My subs don't like it. They like the knife show. We talk about philosophies of use. I'm going to show you competitive options. I'm going to talk to you about how to spend your money, if this knife is worth adding to your collection. Along the way, we're going to have a good time. That's what this video is about. Feature length, maybe. I would love it if it was 15 minutes, but something tells me that's not going to happen. Not with competitive options, because I have some other great Spyderco knives to show you and to prove my point that it does follow family lines, which is a good thing. I'm a big fan of the family heritage of Spyderco folding knives. Big fan. I love it when a new knife follows that. Maybe some variances here and there. This one definitely has that, but I love it. But talking about quality, as you're going to see, top notch. Not a USA produced knife. Nope. Made in Taiwan. Like a lot of them are. I'm going to show you some others here on the table. Also made in Taiwan. Ultra quality levels though. Just like we've seen a lot at Spyderco. And then third, I would say value. Usually you get a lot of knife for your money with Spydercos. Now, the plot will thicken when we talk about the price of this knife, which is going to street around 185 bucks. That's pricey. And with that money, you could buy a lot of different knives. But if, like me, you're a Spyderco fan, this is a knife you want to add to your collection. It just is. It's that good. It's that special. We might as well start talking about the nitty-gritty. Those 3 broad categories, by the way, we're going to break down. We talked about design. What else? Quality and value. But in my talking points, we're going to get into it, show you the specifics of the knife, and here we go. First off, philosophy of use on the C172. It's like Cessna 172. That's what I've always referred to that as. Spyderco Domino. I would say collectible. And I bet you most guys are going to buy this. Spyderco fans, like myself, are going to buy it, add it to the collection just because it's a really cool Spyderco knife. It's a great addition to a Spyderco collection. There is a specialness about the knife, and Eric, you did a great job on this blade. Great job. Now, will they continue to produce this? Well, in my initial view on this blade, I suspected this would be a great seller for Spyderco because it follows classic lines, great build quality, price is kind of high, yes, but a lot of Spidey fans just won't care. They want this knife. They want to possess it. So I don't know if they're going to keep producing it throughout the years. Maybe it's discontinued in a couple years. To me, that's awesome because it makes it more special. Collectible in the sense that it gives you pride of ownership as an owner. That's what I'm talking about, collectability. As I've said a lot. Not necessarily it's going to gain in value. May or may not. And then next POU, very simply, is utility knife. You might be surprised that I will say I don't recommend this. What? Well, here we go into the discussion. Is it high-end, EDC? And I have a whole video out on that. There's guys that will carry, and I don't know, high-end is different for every person, by the way. I might as well start off by saying that. 185 bucks, I think, for most guys, most gals, is a high-end carry knife. I mean, when you could put a SOG or a Tenacious in service that's around 40, 50 bucks, yeah, maybe that should be your thumping knife. but there's guys who'll do it. They'll put a C172 Domino and in hard service and start thumping on it. I say rock on. Whatever suits you, whatever gives you the most enjoyment, I say do it. I would not say, as a philosophy of use, a tactical blade. That might surprise you. I just don't think there's enough overall traction, and it's kind of on the smaller size. It's only 3.13 inches or 80 millimeters long, the blade. Very similar, as we will see, to the Sage, by the way, which is a 3-inch blade. And that's your POU discussion. That's it. Oh, I guess I should throw in gift. I always say that, right? Can you imagine getting this knife? Hey, wives, if you want to, amp up your husband's Spyderco collection, get him a Domino. He'll love you for it. How about the size, weight, and feel? Well, here I'm going to roll in some family competitive options because it's very interesting to me as a Spyderco fan. And the one I'm going to show you right now is a Sage. In fact, I have 3 Sages. These are cast members in the Nut and Fancy project. First, C123 Ti, the titanium. Love this knife. I raved about it in my review. Here comes a Blackie Collins lockup version of it. Beautiful blue G10. Michael Walker version of the Sage. There you go. See the family resemblance? This is what I'm talking about. The knife is very similar in looks and feel to the Sage series, which in my book is an A+. Because I absolutely love the Sage. The only one I haven't wanted to add to my personal collection is the stainless steel bolstered one. Yeah, the 3 faves are right there. And I'm not sure if Eric and Sal are going to come out with other Sages, different lockups. They probably will. I think it's a great test bed for all that. Or I should say a demonstrating knife for those lockup mechanisms. This knife here is a little bit heavier. The Domino versus the Sage, I don't know, titanium. The titanium, this one right here, is 3.6 ounces. This one's 4.2. Oh no. It's not that big of a deal. No, I'm not excited about it as far as the weight difference is what I'm talking about. I don't care. They're basically the same weight. Let me show you very carefully the size difference. But here's a titanium Sage versus the Domino. Very similar. Like we said at the outset, just a very slightly longer blade with the Domino. The feel of the Domino, again, is very Sage-like. Depending on which model you have, it feels actually in hand because of the carbon fiber side scales, like this one, the Walker Sage. It feels great in hand. I will say that the Taiwanese producers on these, and the Sage has this issue too, the jimping, here we go, jumping ahead to Ergos. Sorry, I just got to say this, is not quite as awesome as it should be. It's good, but it's not like, dig into your thumb good. Yeah. There are knives, by the way, designed by Eric Glesser, which are that way, which incidentally ranked an astounding 11 out of 10 on my likability scale. How about the Manix Translucent? This one's a USA produced one, and they know how to do it. Golden, Colorado produced one. Oh, now that's jimping. Dude, we're talking about the feel of a knife. That's why I'm bringing this up here, because it gets to the point of this. How it feels in hand. The balance is smooth, it's fast. Let's go ahead and look at the lockup and strength while we're here. And I really love this, by the way, about the Domino. Frame lock, integral lock, and this has a stainless steel locking plate that will engage with the blade. Let me see if I can get that to focus right there. See it? The titanium Sage does not. And I think the titanium they use for this one is, I could be wrong, but I think it's 6414V. Quality titanium. Will wear good. This one's worn very well for me. I will say I'm not hard to use that though. This is a knife that if you do plan to hard use it, I think it'll be up to the task. Mainly because that hardened stainless steel inset bar there will take the wear. You can see the timing on it too, where it locks up about 50%. There is a captured stop pin right here in the Domino. Can't show you because I didn't take the knife apart for it yet. And let's see how it deploys. I think it's a second flipper lock that they've done at Spyderco. So that's kind of cool. The other one was a Southard folder that I reviewed. That wasn't a great representation, but the knife is fast. And it has ball bearing races in the pivot point. Kind of like the IKBS, That's a proprietary name I think CRKT uses. A lot of acronyms, I know. Is it faster than the titanium Nut and Fancy? Well, that is a very good question. I would say no. It's not. Here I am, not deploying it worth a crap. Let's take the titanium right here. Sage, I'm talking. That's a fast knife. Doesn't have ball bearings. A knife doesn't have to have ball bearings to be fast. That's just the latest and greatest rage from the knife industry, right? And I think it remains to be seen whether it will stand the test of time. I'm talking about ball bearing pivot points. I like them. I've said that in some other reviews. I really do. But we've seen folder after folder after folder that don't have them, that wear very well, that are extremely fast. The Sage series stands as a witness to that. That being said, you do have ball bearings in this, and that will add to the cost, no doubt, of this knife. Lockup is strong. No movement. Up, down, side to side is absolute perfection. I did not hard use this knife, though, to test it. I am actually sleeping better at night knowing that that stainless steel insert bar is in there. Because as I've shown you with some other knives, that titanium can actually mush down. And it does not take really, I don't know, hard battering well from some other brands that we've talked about. Lockup strength and speed, I will say overall on the Domino, good job, Eric. Superb. It's good. Is it the fastest flipper design out there? I don't know. There's lots of great flipper designs. How about the steel? It is CTS-XHP steel from Carpenter, a competitor to CPM. I don't know a ton about it. Here's a specifications chart. I like what Carpenter says about it, though. A high hardness 440C steel or a corrosion resistant D2 steel. They're talking about how you can describe the XHP steel. So it has a different makeup than what I was thinking, the CPM 3V. CPM 3V has 0.8% carbon, 7.5% chromium. And check this out, the XHP has 16% chromium, 1.6 carbon. And if you want to dig more into the details, again, there's the composition. That means it's going to be analogous, at least in corrosion resistance, Carpenter says, to 440C, which in my book is adequate. It's not like mind-blowing, though. Talking about the rust resistance on 440C. I will say this, though. In my cutting with this knife, and as you can see in my sharpening, I am impressed with the steel, and Spyderco reports outstanding results from their tests. It is a powdered metal technology steel, and like we've talked about, that means a homogeneous, fine grain structure, and it will take a wicked edge. Look at that. I polished that, I think, to about 3,000. Something like that. Paper cutting test. Let's see how it does. That was a stressful moment for me in my sharpening job. Like butter. Let's see if we can make a tiny curl. That, to me, is a real good test of an edge. If you can just make a little pigtail like that. Very impressed with this steel so far. I am new to it. Like I said, I'm learning about it. I don't know if I've ever reviewed a knife with this steel in it yet. Not yet. But, I don't know, like Carpenter's saying, it's a more rust-resistant 440C, more rust-resistant D2. I'll take it. And then we have the Family Resemblance Leaf Blade Shape, which I love. I loved it in this knife. The Mannix, right? Loved it. Family Resemblance. Oh yeah, I love it when they do that. How about the handle construction? I'm going to take the Sages out here. And I'm going to use the titanium Sage, actually, before it goes bye-bye, for a comparison and contrast. This was a pure titanium pillar construction handle in the Sage. I shouldn't say was, but is. You can still buy this knife. Outstanding blade, by the way. Liked it. Very slick. Not a lot of traction on it. The jimping is about the same. It's good, but not outstanding. Let's look at the Dominoes. This is a different carbon fiber. I don't know if I've seen it. They call it, I think, checked or check carbon fiber. They're just putting a different finish on it. And I believe this is peel ply on this Sage. They both have about the same traction, which is to say it's good, but I wouldn't say it's like phenomenal, like a high traction G10. But for the philosophies of use we talked about, a collectible, everyday carry knife, a gift knife, not a tactical blade, totally and completely adequate. And how about the looks? Remember we were talking about that at the beginning of the video, right? What do you like about Spyderco blades? Well, personally, I like the way they look. That's a very important attribute to me as a knife buyer, user, and addict. Thank you very much. Yeah, I like it. It's good looking. Let's look at the comfort levels, the ergonomics of the handle. Oh, Eric got this one right. Look at that. Look at the rounding job that they did on it. This is a pure titanium side here. There's nothing to impede the extraction or insertion into the pocket from this side. I mentioned that, by the way, with, I think it's my EDC today, the SOG Flashback. Same thing, added a little piece of grip tape, by the way. I love that it goes in and out of the pocket easily. You're going to have the same thing with the C172. Yep, just don't look for ultimate traction here. By the way, I forgot to mention this when we talked about lockup. This actually serves that that stainless steel inset to the lock bar. Serves as an over travel stop as well in here, so it prevents hyperextension of your frame lock. Love that, love that, love that. Comfortable in hand because no hot spots, pillar constructed, just like this knife. Easy to clean, easy to service, and it's very lightweight. And look at the freaking milling job they did on here. Can you see it in there? Oh, Eric, you did a good job on this knife, dude. Look at that. It's like milled out very aggressively on the non-locking side. So they're making the knife as light as they possibly can without losing any strength on the domino. How about the centering? Perfection. And maybe this is where the ball bearing pivot system over time will prove its worth, is that it's such a consistent way to set the blade in the handle that there's not going to be any left and right movement over time. You could adjust the pivot point if you wanted to. I didn't have to do it with this knife, of course. And handle retention, tenacious. Longtime TMPers know what that was about, right? Perfection. Can I shake it out? I gotta do this off camera so I don't hit the tripod. Yeah, you can totally. Ergonomics, I already talked about the jimping. Could be better. You have it on the bottom though. That's good. Double choil right there. Locks in the hand well. Just a great user design. Very comfortable in the hand, fast and balanced. How about the clip design? That is, I will say, for me, probably a B. What? I love that clip, Nutton. Oh, don't get me wrong. I love the clip too. But remember what I said about the Sage clips. The high tension wire, loop over wire, like on the Blackie Collins Sage. This is my favorite clip that Spyderco makes. It's because it carries deep, it's strong, it's resilient, it's super lightweight. Is it the best looking clip? That's very subjective. I don't know. Here it is on this one, the blackened version. This one's been carried on my motorcycle with me for eons now, and it's kind of bent a little bit. I could probably pop it off and tighten it up on this translucent Manix. That's my favorite clip though. This is the same one I reviewed back in 2008 on the Centofonte 3, a Hall of Fame carry knife, Spyderco favorite here by myself and thousands of TMPers, by the way. Great clip. It just will have this much protruding from your pocket. Yeah. But other than that, that's really all I can say bad about it. If you want to carry tip down, here you go. Throw it on that side. Lefties rejoice because it's positionable to all four corners. Great job again, Spyderco. There's your lanyard hole if you want it. Clip is good. I'd just say a B because I'd really like this if it just buried in the pocket. How about durability? Well, I think XHP has been around for some years. It's just I don't have a ton of experience in it. For what I think most dudes will use the knife for, I think it'll be fine. Be fine. And the lockup mechanism with the steel inset, A+. Durability. There you go. How about value options? Well, I love showing you these. They're fun. Talked about the Sage series. They're still on the table because they're so good looking. They're coming back into frame, I guess. They're not quite done. The question you might want to ask yourself if you don't own any of the Sages is, nothing fancy, should I buy a Domino at $185 or should I buy the Spyderco Sage Titanium at $160-ish? And that, by the way, has S30V steel, which is a known quantity. We love it. Probably more rust resistance than the XHP. I could be wrong on that. Or one of the other Sages. Which would you prefer? That's a tough question, dude. Let me tell you this. What I really love about the Domino is the over travel. and the steel inset. I've said that like 4 times now. That's what I really love about the Domino. The blade's a little bit bigger. The CF is good looking. The clip I like better on the Sage series. The price I like better on the Sage series. The steel, which one would you prefer? Well, I think sometimes we get wrapped around the axle a little bit too much about steels. I think normal users, as long as it doesn't rust out on you very quickly, as long as it doesn't chip, that it's relatively easy to sharpen, which, by the way, this took some doing. Yeah, on my Edge Pro Apex, I was working at it. It took me probably 10 passes per side several times before I finally reprofiled the angle I want. I think I'm working like a 23-degree angle or something like that. About almost to the top of the yellow index mark on the EPA. The edge came out, but it was a little bit of work. But as long as you can put an edge on it, it ends up like this. I think most guys will be totally stoked on it. If you're going to do hard cutting with your Domino, throw it in the comments of how it's done for you. And don't make it up. We're talking actually, you've done some really hard cutting with the XHP steel. And like we see with a lot of the videos we do here in TMP, it'll become a repository of information for guys that are interested in it that will have more cutting experience in the steel than I do. So look in the comments. You'll see a lot of smart guys, Spyderco fans, that will know a lot about that steel. But to answer your question, which between the two, I don't know if I can answer it. They're awesome. And if you're a true Spyderco fan, if you can swing it, you're going to want to own them all. All 4 of those knives on the table are that special. To me, the Manix Translucent, Manix 2 Translucent, it's one of my all-time favorite backpacking blades because this is a tactical blade. It's a bigger blade, awesome jimping, great lockup, ambidextrous, deep carry, super lightweight. This has been a good steel too. I like it. So you might throw that in the mix as a competitive option. How about this one? We haven't talked about it in a while. I think it's an interesting comparison. The Benchmade Osborne 940. Oh, there's that red. Dude, where's that been, Nuttin? We haven't seen it forever. It's been around. It's been around. How about this? 2.9 ounces, 154 cm steel, $125 is what I paid for this. I think circa, when did I get this? I think it's marked on here. Oh, there it is. 2002? Limited edition. Oh, that's a good looking blade. Between these two knives, it's a foregone conclusion. The red's gone. They're both great blades. This is a limited edition, but if you're saying like an available Osborne 940 between this and that, and you can only have one, oh, dude, you're putting me in a bind here. What are you going to use it for? I'm going to EDC it, nothing. Okay, Osborne 940. There you go. That's what I would. It's a lighter blade. It's smaller, easier to carry in the pocket a little bit. Both great if you combine both. Get them both. How's that for an answer? Next competitive option. How about this one? The Bradley Alias 1. Oh, bad deployment. There we go. Oh, that's a great knife. I think these are going to be marketed differently. Someone was telling me something about it. I know I don't keep track of the industry. They're going to be sold still. They're very hard to find. They're made under the Bradley logo by Benchmade. And I think Benchmade is actually going to reissue the Bradley, is what the Benchmade guys were telling me. This one is 4 ounces, same exact weight as this. Same exact titanium, 6.4, 14V, something like that. And it's a frame lock, just like this one. Pillar constructed. Beautiful knife, beautiful blade, great jimping, actually better to a slight amount than this one. This, by the way, was a limited, I think, yeah. But it's expensive, really expensive, $180. Oh wait, that's the same price as this. I think when I reviewed this, I was talking about how expensive it was. But when I reviewed the Bradley Alias, I wasn't referencing, obviously, the Domino, because it hadn't come out yet. I was referencing this knife right here. No. Large Sebenza 21, come on down. $410? What? 4.8 ounces, S35 steel. This is a great knife. Great knife. But it's twice the price as this one. The reason I'm showing you this one is because it is also a titanium frame lock, and I don't have a ton of cast members that fall into that category. I know these aren't. The Benchmade 940 isn't. But I only have a couple knives like that. So this is an interesting comparison. I think I mentioned here that it was a criticism I had that the Sebenza 21 does not have, a stainless steel inset here, which is replaceable, by the way, on the C172. Yep. About the same weight. Great knife. The only real criticism I can level at the 21 is just an expensive blade. Beautiful classic blade shape though. Competitive options. One more. Out of the family stable. How about this? The Spyderco Junior. Don't forget about this one. C150. Only 2.5 ounces. VG10 steel. I was doing some cutting with this one. 123 bucks. Great knife. Love this knife. You talk about jimping, dude. Oh, that's some jimping. That is some jimping. See, this is made by a different factory. This is a Seiki City, Japan knife. Taiwanese produced. So every factory has kind of its own take on how they're going to do the jimping, I think. Yeah, great knife. Is it really a competitive option to this? It's a liner lock versus a frame lock. Does it have the same type of second kind of cool, the Junior? No. I just don't want you to forget about it. Compression lock. I just love this knife. It's also a great backpacking option. Or any system where you're weight limited, size limited. If you had these two knives, you're covered. Couple competitive options. Fun, huh? That's time though. This knife rocks. Eric, again, awesome job with a blade. If you are a Spyderco fan, you have the Sage series. You want more of the Sage series, but maybe in a slightly larger blade. Here's your knife. Right here. It is a total win. The only thing you can criticize it on is price. It is expensive. I cannot lie, will not lie, it is. And for that same money, you could buy some great knives. But that second kind of cool thing, a flipper design that's fast, ball bearing system, stainless steel inset on the bar, good jimping, good steel. This might be calling out to you. Do you hear it? Do you hear it? Wives, hide your credit cards. That's a Nut and Fancy review.